Today we are making Bolognese. I've gone ahead and done all the prep, so you won't have to be bored with that. And here we have the Holy Trinity Italian style with onion, carrot, celery, and garlic, all just mashed up into a pulp with, of course, some salt. The secret to my Bolognese is using 3 different kinds of meat. Here we have a pound of ground beef, we have some ground lamb, and this is spicy pork sausage. And the combination of the 3 meats is what makes this really good. Now this should be a pound of ground lamb, but of course they've started packaging lamb in 12-ounce packages. And I'm not gonna fall for it and buy 2 when I only need 1 pound. So we're short a little on the lamb and it works out just fine. The only other ingredients to go in here are a bundle of thyme, and this is freshly picked from the garden. We have 3 bay leaves that were brought to us by a person. These came from Petrolia and they were fresh when we got them and we dried them. We have a little bit of tomato paste. It calls for, what does it call for? I think it's 20 ounces or some such thing. It's a very difficult combination to get out of cans, so we get a big one and a little one. It calls for wine. This is, this recipe calls for 3 cups, which is 309 milliliters, and so, or no, 709 milliliters. So since this is a 750 milliliter bottle, there's a swallow left for the cook. So to begin this process, we're going to tip our Mirepoix into the hot oil. And we're going to let this cook for about 20 minutes, slowly, just melding all those flavors. And that is it for the first part. So our Mirepoix has been cooking now for a little over 20 minutes. Oh, you were asking about proportions. Of course, it has 1 large onion, 2 large carrots, 3 celery ribs, and maybe 8 to 10 garlic cloves. And salt. Did I mention salt? Liberally. You must season it. So now we're ready to add the meat. And I learned something today because I forgot to take the meat out of the freezer yesterday. This is a lot easier to deal with when it's partly frozen, especially the hot Italian sausage. It's really hard to break apart with your hands, with a spoon or anything, but when it's frozen, you can just cut it up and it cuts very nicely. So we're just gonna throw this all in here. And this cooks for another 20 minutes to half an hour until the meat is brown. The idea here is that we're going to brown the meat because brown things taste good. And before we add anything else, we want this meat to be cooked. So now, this will require some stirring around. And what else is it going to require? You're right, salt. So we're going to leave this to do its thing. Yeah, you have to stir this pretty frequently, but and now we've separated out the chef's portion of the wine. That is not going to be enough. Good thing there's another bottle. Cheers. So as you can see, our meat now is nicely browned. This tastes good. So I think we're ready to move on. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, I lied when I said that was all the ingredients. I like to add 1 dried serrano. And this can be added to the Mirepoix, or it can be added now, it's fine. I buy these online, they're really good. I run it through the spice grinder, and I'm gonna just add that now. And the other thing you can do if you like it even a little spicier is you can add some fresh serranos to the Mirepoix. I like to do that, but Kelly really doesn't like it to get too spicy, so we don't always do that. This is going to be enough for her right here. So the next thing to go in here is the tomato paste. And for some reason they made this can so you can't open both ends, so it's hard to get out, but we will manage. Now, at this point, you've got to make sure to keep this covered, because once you add the tomato paste, this does that spluting thing that tomato sauces do, and with a white sealing, it gets pretty obvious. So now this other can has a much better design, so you can open both ends. And then all you have to do is push it through and grab the bottom. And there you have it. So now we're going to cook this for about 5 minutes and kind of let this tomato paste get worked in here and get a little bit brown, because brown food is good. Give this a really good stir. See, now it's starting to look like a Bolognese. Really what we're after is, this is going to end up being just a meat sauce, where not really any big chunks, but just this delightful, very, very tasty meat sauce. All right, so we'll leave that for about 5 minutes and stir it a few times, maybe add some more salt, and we'll come back. Now our tomato sauce is well cooked in with our meat here. Let's see. It needs a little more salt. I'm using Maldon sea salt flakes. This is pretty good. It's a nice chunky salt. It's actually really good for a finishing touch on a dish when you serve it. But for now, we'll use it in here. And yeah, that's very tasty. This is going to be good now. So, we're down to our last ingredients here, and we're going to put our 709 milliliters of wine. Oh, look at that. That's pretty. A lot of wine, you say? Well, yes. But that's what makes it good. This wine comes from VGS in St. Helena in the Napa Valley. They had a special on this wine at the start of the big quarantine, and we were able to get this wine for about $10 a bottle from a winery that specializes in $80 bottles of wine. This is really good. You want to use a wine that you would drink, because you're going to eat this, so it might as well taste good. This is a good wine. If we hadn't had this, I probably would have used a bottle of 7 Deadly Zins, which is, at Costco, it's about a $10 bottle of wine. You can, certainly there are good wines that are cheaper than that you can use in a dish like this. I probably would not put a $30 bottle of wine in here, just because I like to drink them too much. So now, there's plenty of liquid in here. If for some reason there doesn't seem to be enough liquid I might add a little water anyway. But you want this to cook down now for hours and hours. We're going to put in the bundle of thyme and the 3 bay leaves. And the thyme is just bundled so you can pull it out later and not have all those stems in your goulash. Okay, so let's see. That's coming along. Now as that wine cooks down, it's going to put quite a bit of sweetness into this meat. That really is going to be one of the flavors that you'll experience when you eat this, is that it's really a sweet and delicious thing. Now I'm going to move this to the back burner because this wants to stay very, very low and just quietly cook for most of the day. And it's absolutely raining outside today, so this is a perfect day for doing something like this. And I'm just going to add a little bit of water. Now as this cooks during the day, if it gets too dry, you will want to add a little bit of water to it. What we're trying to avoid here is putting a bunch of water in and ending up with just boiled meat. You want this to really be working on flavor as it simmers here. So we'll come back when it's done. So this has been cooking now for a little over 5 hours, maybe 5.5 hours, and it's a beautiful, look at this. It's just a lovely, lovely, lovely meat sauce. So we have some here served up. Now you could serve this with any kind of pasta you like. We're in a situation now where we just have whatever we have in the cupboard, and that's what we get to use. So we have, what is this? Teeny...
Ziti.
Ditty, pitty.
Ziti.
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 Ziti pasta, which looks like it'll hold some sauce and it'll be really good. You could also make fresh pasta and take a little bit of this Bolognese and put it in a pot and add fresh pasta to it and just cook it all together. That would be really, really good. And we may do this one of these days because, as you can see, we have a lot of Bolognese to eat up over time. So today for garnish, we are going to have some Maldon salt. Maldon salt, Maldon salt. It just gets better with Maldon salt. Oh. Kelly said I should make a jingle. Parmigiano.
Shredded.
Shredded. Not stirred.
Doesn't have to be shredded.
You could have the flakes. The flakes are pretty good too.
Grated is good.
Yeah.
Just not that kind in the craft container that's full of cardboard. Quality.
And then I would ordinarily have gone out and found some flowers to put on this, but it's raining outside, like quite a lot. So we're just going to add some parsley. I did go out in the rain and get some parsley. And there you have it. It's quite the lovely meal. So we're going to pair this with a Dry Creek Mirepoix. This is a 2014. This is a beautiful wine. There's a lot of Zinfandel in this, and the flavors of Zinfandel are going to come through. So a Zinfandel would be great. I was saving this Mirepoix for my birthday next week, but since we're going to have lobster, we'll have a really nice Chardonnay with that. So we're breaking out the Mirepoix for this. And Dry Creek Vineyard is one of our favorites. It's in Healdsburg, California. Yeah, that's going to go really well with the bold flavors of this. Yeah, this is all going to go really nicely. This Bolognese has cooked down now. Everything's cooked into it, and it's just got this big, rich, deep flavor. It's a little bit sweet, but it's spicy, and this is a great meal. This is one of Kelly's favorite things that I cook. So
My actual very favorite. Top 3, number 1.
So trust me, you will enjoy this, however you decide to use it.
And thank you for watching Two Cooks in the Kitchen.